Agidigbo FM 88.7 ògo tó lé téńté.
There's a lot to digest and a lot of voices to be heard. Stick to the frequency that amplifies these voices, stories and reports that make the difference. This is Agidigbo News, 88.7 FM.
This is Kunle Amzat Studio, Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Welcome to News Around the World.
Good evening, welcome to the news around the world on the most listened to radio station, Agidigbo 88.7 FM, Ibadan. I am Bowale Akinbode. First, the headlines. Housing Minister Dangiwa urges stakeholder support for national home ownership drive. Oyo Police Command foils kidnapping attempt, rescues victims. New British FBI to fight serious crime and help local police tackle everyday offences. State seeks access to evidence as federal officials blame shooting victim. Osimhen scores 50th Galatasaray goal after AFCON return. Now the details. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, has urged state government, housing institutions, development finance institutions and other stakeholders in the built environment to actively participate in and support the National Home Ownership and Housing Development Campaign. In a statement issued by the ministry today while delivering the thematic address on day 4 of the 14th National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development in Ilorin, Kwara State, the minister said the campaign is scheduled to commence on March 4 and 5, 2026 in Kaduna State. According to the Minister Dangiwa, the campaign represents the ministry's determination to lead a unified and coordinated approach to subnational housing development, working closely with state governments to ensure the federal programs, reforms, finance opportunities, and private capital are translated into real, visible, and deliverable projects at the state level. Dangiwa further urged stakeholders to see the initiative as a collective effort to drive sustainable home ownership across the Federation, noting that the initiative aligns with the ministry's newly introduced Unified Housing Delivery Framework, which seeks to deepen collaboration between the federal and state governments in delivering housing at scale and building sustainable cities nationwide. Under the administration's Renewed Hope agenda, the federal government has rolled out reforms, including public-private partnerships and institutional restructuring, to strengthen house finance and delivery, shifting towards a private sector-led model to close the housing gap. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) has scrapped special concessions and registration procedures previously granted to candidates with albinism for the 2026 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME), citing abuse of the privilege to perpetrate examination malpractice. The board, during a meeting between JAMB management led by its registrar Professor Ishaq Oloyede and the commissioners for education from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, held in Ikeja, Lagos, warned faith-based tertiary institutions to clearly declare their religious status at the point of admission, saying it is deceptive to present as secular and later impose religious rules on students. Professor Oloyede also noted that despite safeguards introduced by the board, some individuals remain determined to circumvent the system, addressing complaints from candidates admitting into some private institutions over compulsory religious instruction, and urged faith-based schools to be transparent. According to the board, henceforth, any candidate found engaging in such an act and who fails to disclose that he is already in school but wants to change course will be disqualified and would also lose his current admission, warning state governments against agreements with private promoters who might use centers to facilitate malpractice. The Oyo State Police Command has informed the general public of the successful rescue of a kidnapped victim, following the swift and coordinated response of police operatives, reflecting the command's unwavering commitment to the protection of lives and property. The State Police Public Relations Officer, Mr. Olayinka Ayolade, in a statement issued today in Ibadan, the state capital, said on 24th of January 2026, the command received a distress call from a female of Ujongbodu area, Oyo State, reporting that suspected kidnappers armed with dangerous weapons had invaded her brother's residence, adding that the swift rescue achieved within hours of the abduction underscores the professionalism, vigilance and dedication of the Oyo State Police Command in responding decisively to threats against public safety. The Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Command, CP Femi Aruna, therefore appreciates the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, for his continuous leadership, strategic guidance and unwavering support, also commending the gallant officers and operatives who carried out the operation in collaboration with strategic partners for their courage, professionalism and commitment to duty. The Oyo State Police Command also reassures members of the public of its resolve to ensure that criminals find no hiding place in the state, urging continued cooperation through the provision of timely and credible information. A prophet of Cremi Apostolic Church, Pastor Gideon Oyekole, has enlightened on stability and mutual communication in marriage between husband and wife, describing it as a soul. Professor Oyekunle, during today's sermon at Egbeda Adicom College Way, Ibadan, said individuals develop a higher tolerance for different viewpoints when communication in the home, which marks marriage to be healthy.
Of marriage is very essential for everybody because everything's begin for marriage, both the institution, community, association, and every kingdom's nation start from marriage. So if marriage can be stable, everything in all the world, wherever human beings are existed, will be stable. And what can make them to stable is that there must be a solid spiritual foundation, and there must be a mutual communication, and there must be respect within marriage, and there must be an effective roles that each of the husband and wife will play. So husband will love, and wife will submit, and the children will behave a fearful life.
The prophet also said that the ability to listen actively and disagree without contempt is a skill first mastered within the marital unit, stressing that when this communication breaks down, the ripple effects are felt far beyond the bedroom, and mutual communication regarding finances is the predicator of household stability. And now it is time to link up with our United Kingdom studio for the foreign news.
News from Kuliamza Studio at Gidigbo FM. United Kingdom. I am Olushola Damilola. A British FBI will be created to fight the most serious crimes and help local police forces focus on tackling everyday offences in UK. According to Shabana Mahmood earlier today, the National Police Service will be established in England and Wales to tackle crimes such as terrorism, fraud, and organized crimes. The new formation will attract world-class talent with state-of-the-art technology, while a National Police Commissioner will be appointed to lead the force, making them the most senior police officer in the country. Home Office stated further that the new force will be in charge of purchasing new tech and equipment for all forces, which will include a nationwide rollout facial recognition tech, although a start date has not been revealed. At least one person died, while more than a dozen were hospitalized after a gas explosion in a high-rise New York City apartment building yesterday. Authorities said the blaze on the top 3 floors of 3485 Bivona Street was caused by some kind of gas explosion, which remain under investigation, although one person was declared dead, while the fire also injured 14 others, including one person who was left in a critical condition. And that ends the news from Kuliamza Studio at Gidigbo FM. United Kingdom. I am Olushola Damilola.
We shall also be moving to our Maryland studio, United States, for more foreign news.
News from Kule Amzat Studio, Agidigbo FM, United States. I am Oluwatosin Sonya. The authorities in Minnesota on Sunday were investigating the killing of a 37-year-old Minneapolis resident by federal agent, despite resistance from Trump administration officials who sought to cast blame on the victim and local Democratic lawmakers. The victim, Alex Jeffrey Pretty, was an intensive care nurse and a U.S. citizen with no criminal record who held a legal permit to carry a firearm, according to local officials. But federal officials, without presenting evidence for the claims, sought to portray Mr. Pretty as a domestic terrorist who was armed and wanted to massacre law enforcement officers. Mr. Pretty was shot dead on Saturday during protests against the federal immigration crackdown in Minneapolis. Videos analyzed by reporters show no sign that Mr. Pretty pulled his weapon during the encounter with federal agents in which he was killed, or that they had knew he had won until he was already pinned on the ground. A federal judge in Minnesota late Saturday issued a temporary restraining order barring federal officials from destroying evidence related to the shooting. The lawsuit filed by local officials accused federal officials of blocking state investigators from accessing the scene of the shooting and removing evidence. Uganda's opposition leader Bobi Wine has said his wife had been taken to hospital after soldiers invaded their residence, partially undressed, and choked her. Wine, a pop star turned politician, was not at the property and is in hiding after he escaped a previous raid on his home last week, hours before he was announced as the runner-up in the January 15 presidential election. Overnight into Saturday, soldiers forcefully entered the opposition leader's home in the Magere suburb in Kampala's north, breaking down doors and beating up staff, Wine said in a post on X. Four-decade incumbent ruler Yoweri Museveni, 81, was declared winner of the vote with 71.6% against Wine's 24%. Wine rejected the results, alleging extensive fraud, including ballot stuffing. During the raid on the residence, Wine said the soldiers held his wife, Barbara Yagunlayi, at gunpoint, asking her to reveal his whereabouts, adding that they grabbed her phone and forced her to sit down and then ordered a password, but she refused. Then they strangled and insulted her. He also alleged that they forcefully removed her blouse and took pictures, and the wife was rushed to hospital where she remains admitted. That ends the news from Kule Amzat Studio, Agidigbo FM, United States. I am Oluwatosin Sonya.
Welcome back now to the exciting world of sport. Galatasaray has claimed a comfortable 3-1 victory over Fate FC, strengthening their grip at the top of the Turkish Super League on Saturday as Victor Osimhen was on target. The Super Eagles striker, back from representing Nigeria at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON, netted Galatasaray's third goal in the second half to continue his impressive scoring form and record his 50th goal for the club since first representing them in the summer of 2024. According to a statement, Osimhen scored 37 goals in 41 appearances for the Turkish Super League champions last season and has now added 13 goals in 18 games this season, adding that Galatasaray made a flying start to the contest, opening the scoring in the first minute through Gabriel Sara, and Fate Karagümrük responded positively and were rewarded with an equalizer in the 27 minutes, briefly threatening to upset the host. However, Galatasaray regained control early in the second half while Sara completed his brace in the 51st minute to restore the lead. Before Osimhen put the result beyond doubt for minutes later. The win keeps Galatasaray sitting at the top of the league table, 4 points clear of rivals Fenerbahce, who still have a game in hand. To wrap up the news this evening, here is a recap of the headlines. Housing Minister Dangiwa urges stakeholder support for National Home Ownership Drive. Oyo Police Command foils kidnapping attempt to rescue victims. New British FBI to fight serious crime and help local police tackle everyday offences. State seeks access to evidence as federal officials blame shooting victim. Osimhen scores 50th Galatasaray goal after AFCON return. Don't forget that you can listen to us live on our website www.agidigbo887fm.com. You can also download our mobile app on the Google Play Store and iOS. Simply search for Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Follow us on Facebook at Agidigbo 88.7 FM, on Twitter and Instagram at Agidigbo 887 FM, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have news stories and tips for us, contact our newsroom on 070-8714-4865 or send us a mail on newsroom@agidigbo887fm.com.
Welcome back, and before we go this evening, here is a quick tape. Freedom and integrity can only be sustained if only truth is maintained. Finally, we have come to the end of the news around the world on the most listened to radio station, Agidigbo 88.7 FM, Ibadan. I am Bowale Akimbode. Thank you for listening. Good evening.
News is information, and information is power. At Agidigbo 88.7 FM, we bring the news from top to bottom.
The Oyo State government has said the over 1.5 million out of school children.
We give you reports from Oyo State.
The Oyo State House of Assembly has called for thorough investigation.
The Southwest in Nigeria and the rest of the world.
Has clarified that the body did not receive any cash support from international development.